There is nothing that could have fully prepared me for this announcement. Capcom Fighting Collection 2 is coming. Let's have a look. All right, I've seen this trailer because I couldn't help myself. I actually thought I'd seen the trailer already when I saw the thumbnail, but then I clicked on it. I was like, wait a minute. This is a completely different game. This isn't SVC Chaos being released as a collection. It's Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Now, as you know, I was super excited when the first one came out because I'm a big fan of Darkstalkers, but as you can see from the visuals on screen, Capcom versus SNK. Capcom versus SNK 1 and Capcom versus SNK 2 are going to be in this collection along with some other games. I mean, I like the other games as well, but mainly excited about Capcom versus SNK 2. I'm so excited about this. I brought my Dreamcast, which still has my disc in it. It still has my Capcom versus SNK 2 disc in it. I'm so excited about this. I made a video series about this. It was like 3 or 4 years ago when I had my Dreamcast hooked up with a proper connection, so I had good, crisp HDMI output on it. What? Wait a minute. Fighting Jam? Okay, so apparently I wasn't paying attention the first time I watched this video, but to give you an idea of how I reacted when I saw the trailer for the first time, I was like, what? What? No way. And I could not believe what I was seeing. First of all, I'm actually kind of surprised that Capcom Fighting Jam is on. I guess I'm not that surprised, but honestly, they could have released this collection with nothing but Capcom vs. SNK on it. But what's really great about releasing 8 games at once is that people who aren't hardcore or weren't hardcore into Capcom vs. SNK or weren't there during that period when it was exciting, like SNK and Capcom getting together, like the two giants of fighting games getting together for a collaboration game. For people who weren't there and don't understand that excitement from like 15, 20 years ago, those people, if you're not one of those people, then you're going to look at this and go, hey, what's Power Stone? That looks kind of interesting. You might find a game in here that looks kind of interesting. It's like, oh, okay. And also people who are new fans to the SNK universe, people who are getting in through KOF 15 or any of the Fatal Fury, the City of the Wolves is coming out. Listen, it's just so exciting because I did not know ever whether this was going to happen. SNK and Capcom have had plenty of opportunities to collaborate again in the past, 15, 20 years. But can you imagine going like multiple decades and not having like a collaboration between the two giants again? It just felt like maybe this sort of thing was never happening again. But then we got Terry announced in Street Fighter 6, and then we also have SVC Chaos being released, and then we also have a new version of Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves is coming out. It's so exciting right now for SNK and Capcom, and I guess the rumor is going to be that maybe a Capcom versus SNK 3 is coming. I don't know when that would happen. It seems like with Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves coming out, it doesn't make sense for that game to come out in 2025. So if there was going to be a Capcom versus SNK 3, it wouldn't be until 2026 or even later. But it can't be too much later because they want to capitalize on all that hype of SNK and Capcom Fighting Collection 2, SVC Chaos being re-released. All of this stuff it's just so exciting. Also, there wasn't really an easy way to play these games. I'll just go back and let's just watch the trailer again. This game was not very easy to play because Capcom vs. SNK 1 was on Dreamcast. Capcom vs. SNK 2 was on Dreamcast, PlayStation, GameCube, and a bunch of other things. And actually, that was a little bit easier to play. But getting that crisp Dreamcast visuals, like I had to buy a special physical device to get the VGA output to go to HDMI output to get onto my screen, which is why I made that series a few years ago, showing you how to get a controller to work on a Dreamcast, how to get the game to show up nice, crisp, and pristine in HDMI and the right aspect ratio and everything. The main thing, actually, I'm feeling right now watching this trailer is the music. The music for Capcom vs. SNK 2 was so insane. But let's also talk about the other games. Power Stone, I played this as a kid. What? I get so excited watching these. Alpha 3? Wait a minute. What's going on with Alpha 3? Okay, so we actually had Alpha 3. Oh, wait a minute. We're going a little bit too quickly. The first thing I want to say is Power Stone, I enjoyed this game a lot as a kid. It wasn't my favorite game. I'm not a big fan of party games with random things coming in. I'm more a fan of the fighting game side where I know all the stuff that could happen at the start of the match. We're not super keen on games that have a lot of random elements, but of course there are serious fighting games that also have random elements. Anyway, I massively love this game, and it's 4 players. It's a 4-player game. One of the cool things about the Dreamcast, of course, is that it had 4 slots on the front where you didn't need a special multi-tap or anything. You could just plug 4 controllers directly in and jump straight in. You could play Choo Choo Rocket or whatever it is you wanted to play. So Power Stone, that's super exciting party game. But Project Justice, okay, this is another game that I made a series about where I was just really interested in this game, and I think one of the characters, Akira, was going to be like the final DLC character. Oh, well, supposedly, well, it ended up being one of the final DLC characters for Street Fighter V. One of the cool things about this game is you do choose a team of 3 people to play with, and you can call them in for assists and all sorts of stuff. Oh, hang on a minute. Okay, so this is not just Street Fighter 3. This is not just Street Fighter Alpha 3. It's Street Fighter 3, and it's got that arrow at the end, which means it's Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper. Okay, I had to do a little lore check so I didn't make any mistakes here. I saw that arrow up there, and I thought maybe this is the version with Ingrid in it, but it's not. So you may have seen another character in this trailer called Ingrid. I thought maybe she'd be in this, but this is the Alpha 3 Upper version, which means that it's probably not the final version of the game. Like, the very final version of Alpha 3 was the one on the PSP. I think it was the one on the PSP, and it was called, like, Alpha Max Gold or something. On the PSP, it was called Alpha 3 Max. That's the version with Ingrid. So on this collection, it won't have Ingrid. It'll be Street Fighter 3 Alpha Upper. But if you do want to play Ingrid, it looks like she'll be in this Capcom Fighting Evolution. There are a number of videos. I recommend all of them on YouTube where people explore like the history of what happened to this game. We have Jeddah here from Darkstalkers 3. Ingrid, I'm still not 100% sure what the lore was with her, but I always think of her as the girl who has an outfit that looks a bit like Karen. She wasn't actually playable in Alpha 3 Upper or any of the main versions of Alpha 3. I think she was only available in the PSP version of the game. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, that's exciting if you wanted to play a game with Ingrid in it. She's in this. She actually had an outfit that you could get as DLC in Street Fighter V, but you couldn't actually play her as the character. Plasma Sword is not a game I'm familiar with at all. It reminds me of that generation when the first 3D fighting games were coming out, like Battle Arena Toshinden. There's an art gallery that's going to be exciting. Hopefully we can see some art that we haven't seen before. And also, nice little cheat sheet if you forget your moves. Maybe you can print this out. If you weren't there in the arcade days, this is actually kind of how you knew how to play the game, because obviously it costs like 25 cents to $1 every single time you want to have to play the game. All you really knew about what moves were available were from this list, and usually, because the list is so compact, it doesn't actually tell you all the moves that every character has. Just like in the previous fighting game collection, we've got the Jukebox Music Player mode. Enhanced features, EX settings. Okay, so this is going to be ways that we can access all the other features of the game that were sometimes hidden in secret menus or in the arcade version. EO, if I'm not mistaken, this is the Easy Operation mode. I can't remember if that's exactly what it meant, but EO was what they put on the game title when it was released on the GameCube. So presumably you've got access to some of those features. Training mode, which actually is quite difficult to find in a lot of games. If you play the arcade version of Street Fighter Alpha 2 that was included in Anniversary Collection, there's actually only the arcade ROM and no training mode for Alpha 2. You had training mode for Alpha 3 and Third Strike, but for Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter 3 Double Impact, whatever it was called, those games didn't have a training mode, so it was like difficult to like learn all the ins and outs of the game and figure out like cool combos that you can actually use. Additional filters, that's nice. Rollback Netcode. Okay, so on the one hand, it's just exciting because there has never been a re-release on modern consoles. Being able to play it with Rollback Netcode means that you don't have to illegally source the ROM somewhere online. You don't have to illegally... Well, it's debatable about exactly how legal and illegal it is. But the point is, you don't have to go on any dodgy websites trying to figure out how to get a free copy of the game. You just pay money. They just give you a legitimate copy of the game. And now with Rollback Netcode, which I believe was implemented in the sort of unofficial emulated version. I never had a chance to try it, but I believe that did have Rollback Netcode. Anyway, I can think of some very specific people in Japan and America who will be very, very, very excited about being able to play this game officially, legitimately, and with Rollback Netcode. And if it's anywhere near as good as the netcode that was in the first Capcom Fighting Collection, I'll be more than happy. If you don't know what Rollback Netcode is, do look into it. It just makes the game feel good online. You don't have to wait for the game to the game don't slow down and become sluggish because of the internet lag. There are a lot of tricks that fighting games can use to hide that lag, so it feels like you're just playing with someone next door to you. Or almost, it almost feels like that. I'm just truly blown away. I mean, obviously, it's just like they were just waiting for the right moment. Like, when do we drop this? Obviously, it's going to be popular. But the fact that they've been working together, obviously, you can't just re-release a game with a bunch of characters from some other company. It's very clear from the SVC Chaos re-release that's coming out. It's obvious from the fact that Terry is in Street Fighter 6. It's obvious that SNK and Capcom are in good relations, and they're presumably able to not only put out re-releases of games like this with Rollback Netcode, but also, presumably, we might get a Capcom versus SNK 3. Now, would it be as impactful as the old days? I'm not 100% sure. I feel like SNK has become a big popular franchise, but really, the game that would actually explode people's heads in the same way that SNK versus Capcom exploded people's heads would be Street Fighter cross Tekken or Tekken cross Street Fighter, one of those games. But nonetheless, I would still be insanely excited if there were an Capcom versus SNK 3. But at the same time, I'm not that into it. I don't really care. I honestly really don't care that much about an Capcom versus SNK 3. What I really want is the nostalgia hit of being able to play Capcom versus SNK 2 without having to hook up my Dreamcast with my special HDMI adapter, which goes from a special VGA adapter into an HDMI adapter, and then having to plug all that into my capture card, and also just being able to play it on my Steam Deck. I can just play it on all my handhelds as well. I don't know what else to say. I'm blown away. I'm super excited. I hope you're excited as well. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this one, and check out this video next if you're a fan of fighting games. I've been Nihongo Gamer. I'll see you real soon.